I'm Josh Swartz,
And I'm William Illingworth,
hosts of the HiTech Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now.
Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others.
Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey, welcome back. Steve here, and I've got some friends back. That's right. I've got Will Illingworth and Joshua Swartz on from the HiTech Podcast, and we're talking about something really cool. We're talking about old tech that we found, and then we're going to talk a little bit about new tech associated with this old tech. And this is pretty cool. Remember, we live in different parts of the country, and we took a look at garage sales, estate sales, and Goodwill and places like that, and tried to see what we could bring to the table to talk about old tech and where we're going with it now in the new tech world. So this is a cool talk, and fun is to be had by all, most definitely. Thanks for listening. You are awesome. Enjoy the show. Hey, by the way, I just want to remind you, you can help out the podcast a couple different ways if you'd like. That'd be so cool if you did. 3 ways you could help the podcast go like this. Number 1, tell a friend and share the links. Number 2, go to my website and leave a review and subscribe. That would be so awesome. And number 3, how about click on the link on my website homepage where it says buy me a coffee. By doing this, you could donate $5 or $1 or $2 or something like that, to help me alleviate the costs of the podcast. That would be so cool. You are awesome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Enjoy. You guys like sci-fi. It looked like something a Cylon would own from old Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's light, shiny and all. I mean, it's cool. It just looked cool sitting on your desk. But this one is this basic gray and has a little green button and all that stuff. But I think it's amazing because now everything that this one probably did is now in part of your phone.
Yeah.
Right. This thing can do it all.
I mean, your phone, even without I feel like the lid takes it to a different level. Like I think I could do a phone with a nice big plastic lid.
I think I need a lid for my phone. Yeah, I like that. Let's just do a phone.
I feel like it works. I'm curious, Steve, what did you use the Palm Pilot for?
It's the Education Podcast, your favorite show, with lots of groovy guests and they share what they know. So crank it up to 10 and let your neighbors know that here's another show with Dr. Steve Milletto. Teaching, learning, leading K12. Teaching, learning, leading K12. Teaching, learning, leading K12. With Dr. Steve Milletto.
All right. The baseball games are aside. We've had all of our jokes before we started recording, but since Steve and I are nemesis baseball fandoms, we'll just what do you think, Steve? Truce for this episode?
Truce sounds good.
There we go. We'll talk about it later. All right, we're here. We are kind of doing this little bit of a old tech, new tech conversation. There is not a really good set of programming for what we're going to do, but I'm pretty excited to just talk about some old tech we've found and then kind of lean us into some new tech and what's happening. I can't imagine what that new technology would be these days, something like AI or I don't know. Have you ever heard of that before? No. Why don't you start us off though, Steve? What is the first piece of old tech you brought to this episode that we're going to try and we're going to dig into old tech and see what it's about?
Well, I thought that, being associated with public education, I started to bring a box of chalk, by the way. It's like, that's pretty old. It's pretty old vintage tech. They don't, most places, they outlaw chalk, it's like, oh, look at the dust,
Chalk? What's that?
Right. And for all those educators out there who have never used chalk, there's nothing better than you lean against the chalkboard, you get chalk on the butt, all that kind of stuff. Make fun of you when hey, Mr. Milletto, you got the chalk butt, So I've left the chalk out in the garage, but
That's good.
I managed to find a Palm Pilot, a Palm 3. Really,
oh my gosh.
And it has its own little stylus, and I could actually charge it. I don't know if I could connect with anybody, but very cool. It's like, and I have the little stylus so I could write and do all that good stuff. It came with its charger and the instructions and all that stuff. But I think it's just, it might be a little slow compared to some stuff.
Did you ever own one and use it seriously yourself?
Yes, very much so. I had
Wow.
Okay.
the cousin before this one. The school, I had a boss where I was who wanted all administrators to start using these new devices, and so I had one of these. And then after this, I had after the Palm that I had, the boss went out and he made some connection with a Dell thing that was really cool. If you guys like sci-fi, it looked like something a Cylon would own, from old Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Original.
it's shiny and all. I mean, it's cool. It just looked cool sitting on your desk. But this one is this basic gray and has a little green button and all that stuff. But
Amazing.
I think it's amazing because now everything that this one probably did is now in part of your phone.
Yeah.
Right. This thing can do it all.
I mean, your phone, even without I feel like the lid takes it to a different level. Like I think I could do a phone with a nice big plastic lid.
I think I need a lid for my phone. Yeah, I like that. Let's just do a phone.
I feel like it works. I'm curious, Steve, what did you use the Palm Pilot for?
Did you?
Yeah.
Dates, times, addresses, and it was the boss who was having us use it was hoping that we would use it to make sure we were on time to meetings and stuff like that. And so he's trying to teach us like time management with the Palm Pilots. But the best thing these things were good for was you could beam directly to somebody else who had one, and you could, so during a meeting, if you aimed it at somebody and they had one, you could type them a message. And so this is before texting, right? and so you could beam them a message. And so like I had a friend who he liked to, I don't know, fall asleep once in a meeting, it's like, and so he'd constantly do things like, "Hey, you awake? I can go get you Diet Coke. What do you think? We go
Amazing.
Stuff like that."
But you'd have to point it. You'd have to point it at each other.
Yeah. So you had to inconspicuously put it on the table where everybody's sitting around, point it towards the other person so that it would see it. So you couldn't just well, unless you wanted to. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Answer."
Exactly. It's like, "Hey, by the way, I've got a message."
Yeah, exactly. We did that a lot in meetings. That was not what it was.
The tech. That's the tech that I remember when I got my Game Boy Advance. You could put your Game Boy Advances, and they had this kind of thing where you could, before the Game Boy Advance or whatever it was, you had to have a cable to trade and do cross game stuff. But it had that. You could sit it, and it would it was a little ray, and you could point it so that then you could trade without wires. It was wireless gameplay. But here you are in meetings using it for jokes and trouble.
Exactly. And as long as nobody looked at, what are they doing over there? It's like,
right.
You couldn't laugh. You just had to kind of keep a straight face and then type back something, and really quick. But, and the other thing, by the way, that nice thing about that flip top is that we're, very close to beam up.
So you get to have your Star Trek dreams while just walking around the district.
Scotty, come on. Come on. The Gorn's coming towards me. Let's go. And for you guys who have no clue what I'm talking about, that was a giant fake lizard thing. So.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen the Gorn. But best TV show fight scene in history.
Yes, exactly.
Do you know what this is, Will? Have you ever seen this?
I haven't seen it. No.
When we're done here, you go YouTube. Everybody who's listening, you go YouTube Gorn Star Trek fight. It's the pinnacle of stunt work. It's it's so bad. It's well,
see, cool. You say go look at it later. I'll just do it while you pitch the next thing.
Oh yeah, you're just going to look at it now.
Yeah. So what did you guys bring to the table? What's the first thing you want to show and tell?
Yeah. So I'll bring up mine while he's looking that up. My first one is a little bit harder to pick up, but I got a scanner.
Nice.
So Will and I were looking around, and we found
there goes half of the scanner.
Yep, hold on. Tape is ripping off. Yeah, we found a scanner. This was something I did not use this type of one, but for sure had teachers and people scanning things all the time and creating copies and doing a whole bunch of that stuff. Now seeing that we don't do that. Although some do still. I don't nearly as much. I use digital stuff all the time now with students, but I just, I remember that good old scanner option, scanning something into digital or copying it. I'm sure, Steve, you used scanners in the classroom.
Very much so. Very much so. You always had a purpose, a reason to scan something. So like, somebody's copyrighted worksheet, not, take it a little bit, but check it out. All right, I got a file now. Now we can just take that to the copier machine, and we can.
Now everyone has a version.
Exactly. Yeah. Not that it ever did that, nor teachers ever do stuff like that. So
yeah,
nor would we condone it being done.
No,
I remember my first job. Like I swear I was like 13 or 14. My sister lined something up and helped me like go into the office with her, and I scanned business cards for her boss. I'll tell you, I think I was there for 3 hours, just like, and then I had to like type up the name of the file, right? And I'd make sure type up the name of the file, who it was, and put it in a file folder. And that was like, this is coming back to me vividly, being in the office, just 3 hours, business card by business card.
But those are supposed to.
If only I had a Palm Pilot.
What's that? I'm sorry.
If only I'd had the Palm Pilot,
Yeah, exactly. Nice. But the business card scanner was supposed to make it so you never had to have business cards anymore, and so you never had to remember what you did with them and all that stuff. But you paid. Did you get paid to do that, by the way? I wanted to make sure.
I did in cash, and I was under the age of 14. So, I mean, that's way beyond the statute of limitations, right? But hopefully the IRS doesn't come back at me for that one here. Oh, I've got a call in actually from the IRS right now. No, I'm joking. One of my little old school tech things. Now, this is much more like home experience, right? But this is actually for those who aren't able to watch currently or listening in on Steve's podcast later. This is a handheld home phone for the house, right? That doesn't have a receiver in the handheld. So you actually have to plug into this headset, and this is the only way you can take a phone call with these. But now what I'm thinking of is I've seen these kinds of headsets like in charter schools and cyber schools where the teachers have to have these things at all times to teach like online or whatever. And I'm just imagining if this had been the tool for that back in the day. Today, what would I do? Just throw on some Bluetooth headphones to my cell phone or connect to my computer like I am right now. But this is the visual glory you would have had to be in back in the day to do this, hands-free per se. And I bet you it had a belt clip. It doesn't now, but I bet you it had a belt clip. What do you think, Steve?
Oh.
Would it have?
It has to have had a belt clip, and put on your utility belt right along with the bat phone and the bat whatever. Nice. I like that.
I want to highlight something though. The first three we've picked so far, in some way or fashion, the cell phone has replaced it in some way, right? Like yours, Steve, Palm Pilot for sure is definitely an earlier version of the phone. Like Bluetooth headset, even the scanner now. Like most of the scanning I do now. If I'm doing like a ton of scanning, I don't do this on a phone, but I use like Steve. I don't know if you've ever used like the Microsoft Lens app or other apps similar to that, where you can actually like now scan an entire document digitally right off of your cell phone.
It's amazing. I'm just amazed at that stuff. That's talk about the scanner, because that's what I was wondering. So when you found that scanner, wherever, if at a garage sale, estate sale, or just went in, did you record their conversation afterwards? I sold that guy a scanner, man.
They did look at us funny.
Yeah, they did look at us funny. Probably our age, and it was a oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name? Where did we go, Will? Goodwill. We were at a Goodwill, so I don't think they've ever sold those. It was a really confusing purchase. That's
Josh and I don't know what to do with them afterwards either. We were like, oh, can we return them? There's no returns. Like, I guess we'll just donate them back to Goodwill. It's a donation.
There you go.
Speak for yourself. I'm setting up the scanner, man. It's gonna be on my desk. I'm gonna be scanning so many things.
I don't have a 3.5 millimeter jack, so I can't even use this.
Well, you got the phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't need your phone. You got the little phone.
All right, I can't. I'm not gonna wear this the entire time. I could. This is like the trucker ones. I've seen truckers with these like long booms, to have their conversations on the road.
Yeah.
But no, now that you said that, Josh, now I'm thinking at least all the things that Josh and I brought to the table. I'm pretty sure there's only one that the phone hasn't replaced in some capacity. Yeah.
I think the phone's replaced all of mine. When you think about it that way, first I was thinking just one way, but it's like, no. I think it's replaced all of mine that I'm about to show you. So
what do you got? What do you got next for us, Steve?
Yeah. What's your next one?
Well, I got it. My pride and joy. I have Walkman, right? I have actual Sony Walkman. Notice the name brand there, and I'm sure that I know I would, and I'm pretty sure that Will and Josh would love it if Sony would like to sponsor us. I mean, we'd be more than happy, especially since the cassettes are coming back, and and this is functional. And I also have a non-Walkman version. I have a GE version and there both of them radio and tapes. They still function very well, but what's interesting is that the great thing is you can play your tapes with these, and you can listen to radio and so forth, and you can take it with you wherever you go. They clip on your belt, which is very cool.
And if you call now for $19.99, you can have two for the price of one.
Exactly.
Or did everything in the 80s and 90s clip to your belt? Like,
Yes.
is that like like
Exactly.
we hadn't gotten technology small enough yet that it could fit in your pocket, so they were like, it's got to clip to their belt.
Exactly. And when in the early 80s, when the Walkman was first coming out, I had a friend who he got everything as soon as something new came out, and he had a Walkman, but it didn't have the batteries couldn't go in it because it used D or C. I forget which type it did. It had a little connectable battery compartment with a wire, and so you got the battery compartment with the Walkman, and you would attach both of them to your belt. And so it's funny what you're talking about, because the battery pack plus and it was like I'm pretty sure they were D cell batteries. There were like two of them.
Yep. I remember seeing those. That'd be practically Batman at that point.
You got that right. It's like Walkman bat. Yeah. Right.
And there, Sony, is why you want us, right? You can have that little jingle for copyright free, I guess.
There you go. Exactly.
I'm not sure the Batman song is copyright free, but it's fine.
I have to make up our own version of that. But, but these things, it's really cool, because I'm not kidding. Right now, what's really cool is that
they're coming back.
Industry is coming back, and they're being manufactured in Japan, and they've created this whole industry, and so it's awesome, because now my cassettes, records I get. Records are kind of cool looking, like they're big, they're black. Like, a cassette doesn't look cool. I've never felt like cassettes were the
I think you just offended Steve. That's
God, cool. Look at that. It's little, it's like
it's little.
Look at that, and it was nothing different when you're cruising down in your car, and you take out the tape and you stick that sucker in, and it goes, and then all of a sudden it's blasting Kiss or something like this, and then all of a sudden, because you left it out in the sun too long, it goes just like that, by the way.
That's too good. I'm gonna speed through mine. Both of them are actually already on screen for those watching, but I'm gonna pull one up and describe it first, of course, for those who are listening. So, one of the things I bought was just this timer, right? This old school retro timer, and I've seen these around like my in-laws' houses and stuff. But like isn't this retro, Steve? Wouldn't you say that has really checked the box for retro?
It has.
I just love, I literally picked it up because of the box too. But now I was trying to think, is there any way to connect this to education? Like, I don't think so. I don't know. Were timers like this is one of those things you can plug your lamp in, and actually it's recommended by law enforcement officials because it will keep you safe.
That's amazing.
I want to know why the law enforcement officials were the ones who recommended it. Are they using timers a lot back then to like?
I think the point was your lights would come on like when you were not home or something to make it look like you were home.
Yes, I'm pretty positive that is the point. Especially because in those days, and that box is pretty cool, because even the timer itself says time all, right? And I'm thinking that is very vintage, because yes, there it is. Look at that, time all. That's and see that it says Intermatic. I think that's a brand that eventually became a bigger brand, but it's in those days, yes, that was the thing. You attach your timer to them, and talk about something that's been eliminated by your phone with a smart plug, because you can set up the app and make you could be in Chicago and your house be in Miami, and you could turn your lights on and off.
Josh will tell you, I control half of my house from my phone.
Nice. There's a bunch of stuff in mine too that are controlled by my phone as well. But so Steve, would have you ever used? I was going to ask, would have you ever? So Will makes a comment that wouldn't have really been used in education, in connection. Maybe not plugging a light in, but I'm imagining you did. Have you would have used a timer type of thing at some point?
Yes. Just not a timer that plugged into the wall that you plugged another into. Let's see where a teacher might use that, because you could do like a 5-minute nap or something like this, or we're going to have this work session, and when the light comes on, that means you put your pencils down. I could see someone.
I like that.
Yeah, I could see them making use of it. Whereas today you have the little timers that are on. You go online and they do fancy things, like the ducks come out and fly when it's time to stop working. Or the fireworks go off and all kinds of stuff like that. But I could actually see a teacher using it innovative ways, with making the light come on or go off during presentations, or during some work time that they did with the kids or something like that. And all being silly aside, I could actually see someone doing that.
Guys, this thing is so old. It doesn't even have when it was made. Like, if I picked up any other product in my room right now, I bet you it has a timestamp on it of some sort, like the year. I cannot find the year this product was made.
Nice. What about, does the box I thought the box had a price tag on it. Does it have a price tag?
So that's service merchandise, catalog, showrooms.
So stop there. So service merchandise no longer exists, does it?
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yes.
Service merchandise? What's that?
That was a cool store that you would go into, and you could get this catalog ahead of time, but you could go into the store and then you look at things, and you would then find what you're there to buy, and you take the ticket and you go to the cashier, and then they had a conveyor belt behind them, and suddenly your product would appear behind them.
What?
And they'd put it in a box, they'd put it in a bag or whatever it needed to be put in, and then you pay for it and away you go. But it comes from, they had like a warehouse. You went to the front of the store and you went around, and like I said, you could get a catalog, service merchandise catalog, and all that. So that was a cool store.
I'm going right to YouTube right now and just seeing if there's any extant commercials. Yeah. Wow. It actually has died in the recent years. It didn't die too long ago, like 90s, 2000. Yeah, that's amazing.
Because I think it just finally, I'm pretty sure that's something that the internet, our buddies at the at
Amazon or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
amazing. My other bit then is actually definitely more, and this I picked this up one because this is quintessential homeschooler 101. Okay, I was homeschooled. I have many homeschooled friends. Listener who's not watching, there is a telescope in my background. This Vivitar telescope that costs probably $50 or whatever retail. Every homeschooler has owned one of these, because we have to do like astronomy classes or whatever. We have to learn about the stars in some way that like a traditional school probably has at least a mildly legitimate one. We all had this little dinky one that looks like it frankly came from the dollar store. So I just had to pick it up because that's my connection to like education with these things. I've seen them everywhere. I've always had one around the house. All my friends had one, and I can't imagine. I would think schools would have nicer ones, but it is education. We do everything on a shoestring, so
that's cool.
Maybe not, but
science. You get science there. We go look outside at the stars, and when there's always somebody going, "What am I looking at? I don't see anything."
between the timer and the telescope, both of those are replaced by my phone, right? I time everything with my phone, and I use like apps and stuff for stars. I can't remember the last time I looked through a real telescope. Like,
well, you get such clear pictures now that somebody else took from a telescope that and so you don't have to worry about squinting and somebody going, no, you're looking the wrong way.
right.
That eye. What? Sorry.
I actually have to admit, I used the telescope just a couple months ago during the eclipse.
Really?
Yeah, they had a telescope out at the school. Now, did it put yours to shame? 100%. It was like if your telescope is like the Honda Civic, this one was like, the Tesla. If you like, it was quite nice. So that's not completely gotten rid of, right? They still use some of them for things. But there were definitely people, like Steve said, that are on the telescope going, I don't see anything. Like, that are like looking at the wrong spot on the telescope.
I forget what year it was, but it was 1980 something. All right. And Halley's Comet was coming through, and the university where I was as a student had its own observatory. And I was in the astronomy class. And so if you got up at 3:00 in the morning, the professor was up there, and you could stand in line and you could look at Halley's Comet. And I swear that it looked like a little piece of cotton that someone had just kind of stretched out on the lens. And I said, this is what I got up for at 3 a.m. But
pass.
There's a pretty big microscope. I keep wanting to say that, telescope, but it
really brings things up close, just brings them to you.
That was the problem. I was using the microscope. Hey,
you were actually looking at cotton. Somebody had put cotton in a microscope.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring up my second item. Okay. So this one I can confidently say has not been replaced by the cell phone.
Ooh.
It's an electric pencil sharpener.
Nice.
Yes. I bet you could get a plug-in one or something. Like, it sticks into the bottom of your phone.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see about that.
Maybe you can do it virtually. It's an app that lets you sharpen pencils.
Digital pencils.
It's probably a game. It's probably a game.
Yeah, no.
I have to ask again, as the self-admitted homeschooler, I have to ask, like, we had a hand crank in my kitchen all my life. Was this popular in the public system? Like, do you have the electric pencil sharpeners?
Very much so, especially if you were because the hand crank ones, now they sharpen pencils unless you get a one that's just totally messed up because someone stuck a crayon in it or something like that. But the big problem was that kid gets up during class to go over there and sharpen it while the teacher's trying to do something. You hear this whatever the sound is that it makes. It's like, you gotta be. So you get an electric pencil sharpener because it doesn't take as long to sharpen, because the kid at a hand crank one, they're going it's like, can you finish the pencil? Hey, look at me. Everybody's looking at me. This is cool.
Oh, yeah.
The electric one, it makes an even more annoying noise. Especially when you suddenly have a little stub, it's like,
yeah, exactly. The kid just gotta keep sticking it in until
it's like, Steve, would you stop sharpening your pencil? Please have a seat. It's not sharp enough yet. Yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
So both of them got a lot of use. But I use an electric pencil sharpener now because I like pencils. I think they sharpen really nice, and they're really cool devices because Do
you have one like on your desk, like it's that close in use when you're working, or do you have to is it like at the resource center or something?
That's funny. No, it's on my desk. It's right there where on the other side of the laptop. I go, yeah, that works. And I was starting to think.
He's like, I have 3 down here right now.
I was gonna say, it seems like he's trying to find one in his room at this moment.
There is. I've moved it. I don't know where I moved it to, but there is one there by Baby Yoda. All right, there's
amazing.
But and that's because you just never know when you need to sharpen it. But I do have a hand crank one in the garage now. It was here when I bought the house. So someone who originally had owned this house put that hand crank out there, and it works pretty well. But
Yeah.
I still like
growing up, we had a hand crank in the garage as well. It seemed like a weird thing, but I have like a lot of friends who are the same way. I don't know if it was just because that's where woodwork happens, or you need a hand crank. I don't know. I'm curious, Steve, because Will and I both being mostly from higher ed and the experience being a little bit different now in higher ed. Like, do you guys still have electric pencil sharpeners in like every classroom? Like, I would assume so. Okay.
Yeah, for the most part. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of teachers who love just the hand crank mechanical ones. And so they still sell those things and they still buy them and put them up on the wall. But a lot of teachers just prefer having the electric ones. And so there's a good market in it still. So
wow. Just like cassette tapes, it's coming back. It's going to be, old school with the new school. Like I still have this image, Steve, of your pencil sharpener next to your laptop. And just like this tool, the laptop, intended to replace that tool, the pencil. And here you are using them in tandem, using them in harmony, that the pencil can live with the laptop.
So to let you know that I'm not a dinosaur, okay, I have a tablet and I do use an electronic pencil, all right, and I do
there you go.
To take better notes where you can take it and make whatever you write, then let the computer fancify it so it makes it look nice. But I got to tell you, one of the things I love about electronic pencils is that I have my tech director created I asked him, I said, we've had all this paper stuff. I said, we got to get a lot more paperless. And I said, can you create an approval process that's electronic? And he said, I like that idea. And he created it. And then we had a few little minor glitches in the beginning.
Yep. Can't imagine.
And then as we learned what, needed to happen to straighten it out, it's pretty cool. So now I can go in there. There's a whole process. The thing, the person submits they fill out the form, they submit it. It goes to the financial person to make sure they filled it out correctly and that they have money to spend. And then it comes to me for approval. And then it pops up and I take out the electronic pencil and it's like, nice.
I did one of those for the accessibility and disability services team at one of my positions. Like that, like a student, if they wanted an accommodation in higher education, had to go to the disability services and get a piece of paper. Already a barrier, right? Like who's gonna walk to disability services to get a piece of paper? Take it, fill in their stuff, take it to their professor, get that professor to fill in their stuff, get it back from the professor, because what professor is going to take it to disability services themselves, right? And then walk it to disability services. And it's like they were like, this is actually an undue burden that is not legally compliant. Like they can't be doing this. So we took that whole physical process and made it into a kind of daisy chain series of forms and processes that if they completed this form, then this person got emailed, and then they did theirs. And if they completed it, then this person got emailed. And then suddenly we had a digital record of the accommodation, and it was all hunky dory. So, it's okay to be pencil based, but sometimes you need stuff like that just is functionally better for all parties. Very much so. And by the way, kudos to you guys for figuring that out, because that's awesome use of, because I got to tell you that's terrible what you were describing, because you had to walk the piece of paper to, you had to get it there, and then you leave it somewhere. But see, that's what I was trying to fix, was they leave the piece of paper in the box, and it's like, if you left the piece of paper in the box, how did the person know that there's supposed to be something that they're waiting to sign or something like this? And you're like, it's totally. And just so you know that I have to tell you this, that I need to remind people that do not stick the electric pencil into a pencil sharpener. All right. That's just here's your $700 Apple pen or whatever. Not anymore. Yeah, that would be bad. But I do have to tell you that the reason why I have the pencil sharpener there is because I like to write in journals. And so when I'm taking notes to myself and stuff like this, and using the computer for different things, I have thoughts and I put them down in the journal. That's what that is all about. So it's not like it's not like doing the old school because I just can't give it up or something like that. It's just right. a purpose for each. No, and the other point though, to what you just said about the form process, I did, Steve, that I do like to emphasize. A lot of folks might be like, "Oh, come on, the kids can walk it. Where's the responsibility?" It's like, no, this is an accessibility form. Some of these people are blind, deaf, wheelchairs, etc. Like it is a physical burden to get this thing around. So I just love when you can find those kinds of fixes and make everybody's lives that much better. That's what technology can do for us.
Very much so. It's awesome. I was principal of a high school that had been built in the 60s, and it had, by the time I get there, it has 9 separate buildings, basically a building a decade. All right. And and one of the things that happened is that they were realizing that, I mean, you could not walk from one building to, there were a couple buildings that you could not go to. If it was pouring rain, you could not get to those other buildings without getting wet. And then they realized there were no ramps. And so then they came in and made it, the county made it ADA compliant so that American Disabilities Act for those, sorry, education just flew out of my mouth. But and what was pretty wild though, is they created all these ramps, which awesome. So anybody in a wheelchair could get from any building to any other, and they added a whole bunch of they covered those ramps and stuff like this. And then, as every principal knows, that at some point on the weekend, you're going to go to the school, either to respond to an alarm or because you got to go to the school to take care of some stuff. And you show up there and it's like skateboard heaven. It's like, oh my God, look at all this. What in the world? Anyway.
Can't get to your classroom safely.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
what's our last? What other tech do you got, Steve? We can roll out the old tech.
All right, so this is nice and vintage, and there's 3 parts to it. All right, so
is that a gun?
Yes, it is. Say that again. Anyway, this one, maybe this came from Star Trek. I don't know.
Set your phasers to stun over there.
This is a laser cannon. This is a Kodak movie camera from a long time ago. I have to look up how old this thing is. But this is pretty amazing, and it could look at that lens. By the way, ooh, scary.
I thought that's the thing you put your eye into. Like that thing's huge.
Yeah, that lens is massive.
And then on the other side is a little one. Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
Anyway, but that really looks cool, like laser cannon or something. So, but here's the camera. All right. That goes with, so that when you have the film, and I know that's an outdated term too, because there is this film, and it came back to you on a reel, right? So, and he took this.
It's like Encyclopedia Britannica in here.
And then you took this, and if you had your own movie projector, notice here's the lens on this end. See it inside there? And this, by the way, is a Kodak Instamatic M95 movie projector made in USA. And you would thread the tape. I'm going to try not to drop this. This is heavy. But you have the little mechanisms to control the speed, but you would thread the tape from the one reel through this device. How can I do this? Anyway, you see where it threads through. My brain's not working. Yep. And you would connect it to the other reel down here, and then you would project it on a wall, and or one of those really cool screens that you pull out of the roll. I don't know if you guys know those.
Or your bed linens, right? Whatever you had.
Or the ceiling. Well, I don't know if it would work on the ceiling or not, but or the dorm room next door. The building, the side of the building. But so the projector. Now, wait a second, because if you're making your films, once in a while they break, or you might try and figure out how to edit the film, right?
Oh gosh. And
so to go with that, you have to have an editing station. All right.
No. That looks like like a video game, like an old arcade box. Like
exactly, it does.
Wow.
So you would put the film on in the reels on here, and then you would hand crank it through, and you plug this in. It plugs in. and a light would come
It
through.
used electricity? They had electricity back then?
They had electricity then. Thanks. Yes. But it's pretty wild because you could then splice. They sold this little splicing tape and stuff like that, so you could edit out the microphone or whatever you were doing. And daggum it, the neighbor's over there with his lawnmower in the background. We got to get that thing out of there. And
now I just pull up my phone and go erase that guy, and it does it.
exactly. All three of these things have been eliminated by the telephone. I was like, that's crazy.
Amazing.
But
amazing.
As heavy as this thing is.
Careful. Don't drop it on your foot.
Thanks. Yeah. I got to tell you, that projector right there. Yeah. I think I'd be going to the hospital. I was like, whoa, man.
Now was that in the classroom? Did you ever use any of those in an academic sense?
First of all, yes. The projector, I got to tell you this. So these are home versions of stuff, right? But in school, you had the projector because they would order movies that came on these reels, and they would then take the reel and they put it on the projector, and the projectors had these great colors. They were either tan or they were like a turquoise color. All right. It's like, who came up with these color schemes for these movie projectors? But you would then thread the movie through it, and you would then face the screen that you pull down off the wall, which was awesome because a lot of times the teacher didn't know how to pull it down correctly. And so you pull it down and go back up, pull it down and go back up, pull it down, go back up. Some kid would go, let me do that. All right, I'll get it for you. And they get it on the first try or something like that. And
Nope.
The other great thing, though, is that a lot of teachers didn't know how to thread the film properly. And so what would happen? See, this is how the first AV clubs came about, because the kid stepped forward and said, I can do this. All right, this is just step aside. AV man is here.
Hey, teach. Step aside for a second. I got this.
There you go. Because what was cool was if they threaded it wrong. So as the movie's showing, it's unreeling on the floor. So it's going through the movie projector, but it's not rolling back up on the other reel. Instead, it's going out on the floor. And I, bless her heart, I don't remember her name, but I had a driver's ed teacher who, we'd see a lot of movies in driver's ed because, that helps you with driving because you're seeing it on the, anyway. But she showed me, and it would always, she'd always do it wrong. And myself and my friend, we became the AV guys for that classroom. It's okay, ma'am. We're here. We'll save the day.
So you would run things through tech like you just showed us and fix it all up for her and put it on the screen.
Exactly. And it would only take just a matter of seconds as opposed to what she was doing, which was like, whew, okay, I'm pretty sure she missed that day in professional development for the teachers. Okay. Probably upset a lot of librarians who were like, oh, if you'd only attend the class that I gave, you would have been able. Never mind.
So that's a perennial problem. That's not anything new.
Exactly. That's definitely not anything new. If you only attend the class I gave, you'd understand how to use that computer lab instead of,
Yeah. It's good to know some things don't change, like attending professional development.
Exactly. One of my favorite shows from the past was not that far past, was called the IT Crowd, I think was the name of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I love the IT Crowd.
Oh, I gotta love it. And there's nothing better when the one character would tell people, did you turn it off and on? And that's the answer for everything.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah.
There you go.
I still think my favorite episode of that entire show is for listeners,
Fire.
if you've not watched the IT Crowd, you absolutely should. It's a British comedy. But there's that episode where the fire department switches to email. Nice. And they're trying to email the fire department while their computer's on fire. It's like the best. That's the best thing ever. Oh, man.
It's like subject fire.
Yeah. And then the fire department shows up like 30 minutes later. Like they put the fire out and the fire department ends up walking in going, we got an email. Like it's like the best. Oh man.
Yes, but that is an awesome show. I love that episode. There's just so many cool things that aren't even just subtle, like the fact that probably one of the most important departments is in the sub basement of this very
yeah.
And they hire a manager who
doesn't know anything.
Doesn't know anything about IT.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Because she told him she gets the job.
Yeah. But to your stuff there, Steve, yeah, I don't remember those types of projectors or things. But I do remember the pull down screen. Like we still have, when I was in high school, we still had the pull down screen. And eventually I remember they went away when our school got like a grant from Apple. I think our school was back when Apple was like throwing out those grants.
Yeah.
And we got like a cart of computers, and with that came money to be able to purchase like the first like touch projectors. Like they had switched from that into the new building.
But those had to be mounted,
I remember
right?
The
like they were just on
they're
the
ones that were like mounted right above the whiteboard.
Oh, the short throw, the ones that those are cool devices, and those came out. That's
until that one person takes a Sharpie to them, and you're like, "Are you kidding me? Come on!"
Yeah.
At least it wasn't chalk, Steve. It wasn't chalk.
It wasn't chalk. Yes, that's my. All right, this is really going to date me, but hey, what the heck? I've already dated myself with this stuff. But one of the things that I was in the Army, all right, and we had to get training, and this training that I was going to was at a Navy base. So we go in. I'm reporting there for this training, and we're in this room, and he wants to show off these new boards that they've got. They've just installed all these boards in these training rooms, and they're the whiteboard material, right? And he says, all right, so this is the way he starts class. He says, all right, I just want to make sure that this board is awesome. We're not going to use it much today, but I got to show you this. And look at this. You take the marker, you uncap it, and you write on it, and then you take the little eraser, you go up there and you go, and he used the wrong type of marker. And he goes, it's supposed to come off. And I just noticed that I didn't use the right marker. He goes, we're going to the door. We're not going to stay in this room. I didn't do a thing. You didn't see anything either. So I always wondered.
Oh my gosh.
Investigation was looking to find out, did they blame it on the Army guy or something? Or
and then that base had to buy 5 new ones because they couldn't just buy one. They had to be a contract, right, to get a whole bunch.
Or maybe they had someone whose specific job was to keep the boards clean, and hey, you're fired. Never mind.
I don't mean to make a metaphor of all this stuff, but I think that there's definitely a lot of fun in seeing what was and like what it's become, right? So let's see, what was the total count? So I had 1, 2, 3 things here. Those all on my phone. Josh had 2 things. One of Josh's things are in the phone.
We have not found a cell phone pencil sharpener yet, but I'm going to Google that while you're talking.
And Steve, you had, let's say the Walkmans are one item. You had all the 3 different pieces of the film items. So you had 4 items. So across this, we had 8 whole items that have at some point been relevant to the classroom and are all now in the cell phone. Like, what's going to happen in 20 years? There's going to be nothing in the classroom but students. There might not even be students in the classroom.
Exactly. They're going to have their phone left, or some sort of recording device will beam
plug in their phone.
Right. Exactly. You don't have to do any of that stuff. So it just, or maybe you go to bed at night and it plugs into your head and the cyborg drains into you or something like that. No, I haven't read any science fiction at all. It sounds like something that Elon would design or one of them.
Yeah, right. Well, they're on the Neuralink, aren't they? Oh, here's a perfect quick aside. Maybe we shouldn't record this, but that's fine. We're going away in a couple weeks, and Josh has been talking to me almost every time I see him. He's like, I don't know what book I'm bringing. On this trip. Do you have any recommendations, Steve? Any top sci-fi books out there that Josh should consider for his vacation?
Well, I know I'm pretty sure you've read Hitchhiker's Guide, right?
Yeah, we're Hitchhiker's fans. Yep.
I knew you were Hitchhiker's fans, but I didn't know if you read the book. Right?
I've read them. Josh has watched the movie 1,000 times, but he's also read it.
But I also read the book.
So, so what type you like? I don't know if you like Star Wars or not, there, Joshua. But
it is up for question whether I like it or not.
Just a few things that are there visible in the background.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you haven't even heard of it. I
don't even know. I've never watched it. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I actually ran into somebody the other day who said, what is it with this Star Wars thing? I never watched any of the movies. It's like, what? They're way younger than me. Anyway, so depends on what you like. Now, if you're talking Star Wars, I mean, the Thrawn, there's 2 Thrawn trilogies that are out that are awesome. All right. So is there a name for 6
Oh
books?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
there you go.
Oh, that's an
You
awesome.
got enough room in your backpack. Thrawn is a great villain. That's always a
Yeah.
good one.
That's
I
an
know,
awesome.
I know. There's so many possible options, and I'm kind of the Kindle guy, so it's really easy. I just toss stuff on the Kindle. Are you a physical book guy, Josh? You take a
Yeah, usually on vacations I take a physical book.
yeah. So he needs to get the book, whatever it's going to be.
Especially if
have
it's
you picked?
it's usually because it's beach related. I don't want to like mess up my technology devices.
Smart.
What? Well, I'm getting ready to. Right now, I'm finishing up a book from the '90s on Spock. All right, and it's pretty good. It's not bad. I just finished I really like original series Star Trek when I read. I'm not too much of a. I've read a bunch of Next Generation, but anything beyond that. I'm currently, by the way, watching Babylon 5 because I'm a fan of Big Bang Theory, and they kept, just smacking it down. So I'm like, hey, I got to check out Babylon 5. So so I'm learning about that. I'd read a few books in the DS9, right? What is it? What's the starbase for Star Trek World instead of what's that thing called?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
They have their own version of a outpost in space or whatever. Anyway, we have, but I'm finishing up with the Spock one here. I'm getting ready to start. See if I grab the right book. It's on the other side of me. I'm getting ready to start a new. Well, it's not new. Yeah, I love used bookstores.
New to you.
Yes, new to me. And so I didn't grab the first book, but I've discovered this series called Legacy of the Force, and I'm getting ready. I've now gotten every one of them.
Yeah.
Like 9 of them, and I've gotten everyone except the last one. So I at least can start it because I won't be able to finish it yet.
So everyone email Steve spoilers for book 9 of that series.
Yeah.
Do not listen to this man. Do not listen to this man. Run away from that. Yes, do not do that. I do have to say that I've become I am a big fan of thrillers, and if you've ever read Preston Child, you never know Preston and Child, not Preston Child. Is not one guy's name.
Okay.
But I started off with their first book called Relic, and I'm working my way through. I'm now up to 2015 in the books. But
wow.
They have a neat character that has neat experiences, and sometimes it's getting close to paranormal, but it turns out that it's not. It's something really weird going on. But thriller
always
stuff.
a twist. Always a twist.
Yeah. So any of those areas, I can. I've actually gotten interested in recently. So
might have to read in the Star Wars zone for this. I have not actually read that. I did a little bit of Star Wars reading when I was in high school. Like that was my space, but it's been a little while since I've returned to that area. So maybe we know this is what all the listeners really cared about is what I'm reading on our trip. So
I recommend, if you haven't, because I really highly recommend anything that Timothy Zahn does, and he does that Thrawn with 6 books, trilogy with 6 books, whatever you call it. Sorry,
yeah, a trilogy. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is awesome. I appreciate you going through the past to the future with us. Right? We had Star Trek is the very, very distant sci-fi future, but these are always just fun conversations to dig into this kind of stuff and think about how it's impacted tech. And I think part of this for me was like, hey, we have AI today, and I bet you some of these things impacted the development of AI or are impacting the development of AI, right? We needed these kinds of technologies to get where we are with self-thinking computers, or I can put an outline, a narrative into one of my tools, Synthesia, and it'll spit me out an entire video from top to bottom, right? And it doesn't always get the best content. It's not always like as accurate or as effective as you want it to be, but it makes sense. Like if you hit play and you watch from the start to the finish, it makes sense. There's a narrative. It's fine. And I just paste text in and it shoots the whole video with a human, an avatar, a voice, pop-up images, animations, backgrounds. Like it's amazing where we are today with technology. And I not to say that the time all was the thing that got us here, but as we're running out of time on this episode,
OpenAI points to time all being their inspiration for ChatGPT. Actually, I don't know if you know that, but
it's so cool.
I want to go put it in the Wikipedia page now.
There you go. I do have to tell you that one of the things that existed a lot during probably the time of the time all is the devices where you had this cool commercial for it on TV that went like this: clap on, clap off.
That's right.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Now I just say to my phone, "Hey Google, turn off Elmer," right? And it's gonna do that in my room, right? So
right, that's it.
It's too good.
It's just something about I always wonder about the first person who designed that thing, because some of them look like clowns, some of them look like regular lamps, but to clap on, to make something turn on, it's like, can we just do it a little simpler than that? You just walk in the room. Ooh, there's a thought.
Right. Let's just remove the action.
Right.
Well, I think folks, think through some of these things. Reflect on tech around you. Find out what tech is helping you get to where you are today, and then make sure you get your phasers to stun so you don't hurt anybody in the process of reflecting as you write with pencil in your journals beside your laptop. Right, Steve?
Very much so, and very much so. Yes, pencil.
Amazing.
Here to take notes.
Well, hey, that's a wrap for us. I think we'll talk to you all next time, whether you're listening on the Teaching Learning Leading K12 podcast or the HiTech podcast. This little troop will be back for some more shenanigans in the future. Talk to you soon.
Hey, you have been listening to Teaching Learning Leading K12, a podcast to help you help kids achieve their dreams. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is a member of the Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is a member of the podcast network based in Canada called Voice Ed Radio. Voice Ed Radio, your voice is right here. The opinions expressed on Teaching Learning Leading K12 are those of the guests and host. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is intended to share ideas, advice, and suggestions. Teaching Learning Leading K12 is produced for educational purposes. Hey, thanks for listening. It would be awesome if you visited my website at stephenmiletto.com and connected with me, left a review, and listened to more episodes. And by the way, you could also share it with your friends, with your family, and your colleagues. Thanks so much. You're awesome.